with is an updated full cost recovery water fee that is $5,264 versus our current fee of $2,960. That's a 78% increase. On the wastewater side, we're calculating a fee of $6,605 versus our current fee of $3,185. And so in this case, we're calculating an increase of 107%.
2017, 2018. So the projection, I'm sure, in that rate study was much lower than what we're seeing in growth now. And unfortunately,
according to Fitch Ratings, is a AA positive. They attributed the AA to a reflection of a strong financial 3% increase. Operating reserves would fall below our minimum requirement and would be exhausted by fiscal year 2027. I added operating fund balances are below our minimum target and totally exhausted by fiscal year 2028. Our debt service coverage drops from about 2 today down to about 1.6 by next fiscal year, and by fiscal year
is not funded now. Without these rate increases, we don't have the money to expand facilities to make any room for growth for the pipeline that's out there today.
Plant 1 is near capacity, and with increased flows come increased operating costs related to chemicals, electricity, and hauling. The percentage change overall is 26.6% at wastewater treatment plant 1. Wastewater treatment plant 2. As in the case with wastewater treatment plant 1, the bulk of the increase in the 2025 budget is in contractual services, chemicals, and electricity. While wastewater treatment plant 1 is facing capacity issues, wastewater treatment plant 2 is in the expansion phase that will double the capacity by late 2024. While this expansion is needed for current and future growth,
the expansion at plant 2, and knowing plant 1 is at its max capacity now, so this will push more flows over, some flows over.
Some lost opportunities to have increased revenues by delaying rate adjustments from what was previously proposed, and lost opportunities related to various grants and appropriations that the city has sought. We certainly covered the major capital project needs. Carl was reviewing those with the City Council here just a few moments ago. Very specifically, what we attempted to do was to work in conjunction with city staff as well as the city's municipal financial advisor to look for ways to fund the total capital improvement program. Granted, there were a number of projects in there that have been delayed. A large portion of the bond issuance does relate to capital maintenance. And so I think a question earlier was about sustainability of the rate path if the City Council elects to approve it. Our strategy as it relates to capital maintenance is twofold. One, to increase the annual transfer to the Renewal and Replacement Fund to 15% of gross revenues, which, by the way, was a recommendation in the last rate study that never got approved and never got implemented because the rates weren't adopted. So step one.
But the question is, what happens if we don't do the increase? This system is going to fail. We're going to get charged fines by the DFEP for that consent order. You have no choice. And if we don't do the improvement,
there are reportedly some 19,000 lots or parcels that are available or approved for connection. If this number is remotely correct, that's the equivalent to a 45,000 people increase in our population, which would generate, which again is about half of what our 2020 census is. 2020 census was something like 89,000. 45,000 would be if these 19,000 units were developed now. They would also generate about 3.5 million gallons a day of wastewater treatment to the wastewater treatment plants that have yet to be expanded. The city currently issues.
Our most common one, our CSA wells, is at our capacity.
Okay.
And for us to increase that capacity, we have to modify our consumptive use permit. So to ask for an increase in fresh water when we're not utilizing brackish water yet may not be permitted. They may allow a temporary until we get brackish online, but because it's not in our 5-year plan, we kept the design in the 5-year, so we're moving forward. We're drilling the test wells for brackish wells to do the monitoring before we can actually move that project forward. But there's no certainty that they will allow a permanent or temporary increase in our CSA freshwater raw source allocation.
Okay, and then the FDEP requirement for daily peak flow may be exceeded without the expansion. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, last year in June, we exceeded that one day. They look at your total permitted capacity, and if you exceed 75%, then that exceeds the regulation that DEP sets. So as we go through, it could be droughts, there's different things that cause, that need to be exceeded, additional capacity. Reduced gravity in sewer and manhole lining will result in more I&I, thus more flow into the plants during rain events, and thus more sanitary sewer overflows into the streets, thus more PEP tank issues, and potential FDEP violations with overflows and plant overflows. Cost of construction will most likely increase. A future bond will still be necessary as R&R funding cannot support a project of this cost. Conversion work will require a partial shutdown of plant operations. Therefore, work needs to occur while there is available capacity at the facility. Waiting could cause overflow during peak flows or daily flows if delayed too long. Limited lining will reduce reduction of I&I, both of which will provide capacity for vacant ITT lots.